totally overwhelmed to hear so many laurels, so many achievements that you have gone through. We all can just dream about these things. And as an assistant commandant itself, I was very much overwhelmed to hear your experiences, which you spent as an assistant commandant. And I'm sure a lot of youngsters, a lot of selected candidates also who are there listening to this have a lot to see and have a lot to experience the adventure which you have faced. Similar to that, maybe we all have to look forward to it. So, sir, I'll be moving to the next question. That is, how many means there are very much calls for reforms in CAPFs. So, we would like to know that how many reforms had taken place during your tenure in CAPFs, and which all are the reforms which you see happening in the next 2 or 3 decades in the CAPFs.
Reforms as in various fields, you mean to? You see, firstly, I'll now focus more on BSF because BSF I have limited knowledge about other organizations. So from 1977 till now, there has been a lot of change in the organization, mostly for betterment, some not. The fencing came up because of Punjab militancy, and fencing had a lot of role to play in controlling militancy in Punjab by cutting off the logistics supplies to the militants, and also ensuring that they find it extremely difficult to cross over. So the fencing experience in Punjab prompted the government to construct fencing in other parts of the border, down south along Pakistan, and thereafter along the Indo-Bangladesh border. So the fencing is another thing that has come up besides introduction of other technological devices. Then insofar as growth of the organization is concerned, as I said, we were only about 77 battalions then. We now have almost 200 battalions of the organization. So promotional avenues have gone up to a great extent, except when some mismanagement takes place and growth and intake is not regular. In that case, it becomes problem for certain batches to be promoted on time. Otherwise, the promotional avenues have grown quite a lot. The accommodation has come up at many places, giving family satisfaction to the troops. But again, because of rapid expansion of the organization, again, the shortages remain. From primitive BOPs, we now have BOPs which are quite well established with several components available for barracks, for operational area, operational rooms, for signals, etc., etc. So BOPs are now a totally different entity from 1 or 2 room or 1 or 2 barrack entities that were in existence way back in 1977 onward. So all these changes have taken place. The role clarity is much more, which wasn't initially, we were not very sure what is our role. So the role clarity is now much more. The cooperation with the security, with civil administration and other police organizations has improved. There is on the border scape, the changes are that we now have border area development programs which are aimed, which are targeted at the border population to improve their lifestyle, to improve their livelihood and create infrastructure in border areas. So that also has, and since the BSF has a very large role in implementing these programs, so our relations with local population have also improved. Otherwise, at the back of mind of any border guarding person, it used to be the thought that every person on the borders is involved in border crime, which is not correct. So the realization now has come that not everyone is involved in border crimes. So that is a good thing. There's a well set grievances redressal mechanism within the organization for our troops to redress their grievances, and also there's a mechanism in place for interaction with the local population to listen to their problems and redress them. So these are the changes that have occurred since I joined. The methodology by border criminals also has changed. See, earlier the border criminals would try to locate a gap and cross over, but now with the fence coming in, they have a barrier, and they have to now make a lot of effort to cross over. So they are adopting newer techniques, like you may have heard of tunnels being dug on Punjab and Jammu. A couple of tunnels have also come up along the Indo-Bangladesh border. The drones are now being used. So we also have to, as an organization, constantly evolve our operational methodology to counter the threats that are emanating by the changing methodology adopted by the border criminals. The interaction with the counterpart border guarding forces, the rangers and the Bangladesh border guards, has also enhanced. So creating a sort of bonhomie and creating better, ensuring better border management technologies and methodologies. There's a lot of coordinated border management activity taking place both on the Indo-Pakistan and Indo-Bangladesh borders. The liberal contact that we are now able to make with our counterparts ensures that local problems are resolved in a quicker time frame than what was the case in the past. So these are the changes that come immediately to my mind about our organization.
All right, sir. We'll be heading to the next question. That is regarding the Chidambaram Committee. So what is the attitude of government towards these reforms suggested by the Chidambaram Committee on CAPFs? And what are the impeding factors which are not letting the reforms take place on the ground?
The Chidambaram Committee had recommended that the CAPF cadre officers should also be given an opportunity to become Director Generals of the organization. So nothing has so far been done on that issue. It has perhaps not been accepted. We are not very sure of the fate of this report. So that is the status. What impedes the suggestion? I can only surmise that firstly, our officers have not reached the level to become DGs. So far, additional DG tak bane hain. So although they have required experience in terms of length of service, but in terms of length of service in that particular rank of additional DG or SDG, utne officers nahi hain. But so far, the government has not made any of the cadre officers as Director General of the forces. Perhaps the police lobby also is involved in getting this proposal shelved.
Okay, sir. Next question is, sir, what is the current status of OGAS and NFFU, and what change are they going to bring in reality?
See, the current status is that as per the Delhi High Court order and confirmed by Supreme Court, we are OGAS, Organized Group A Services, with effect from 1986. And therefore, we should be given the classical NFFU, non-functional financial upgradation, which means that 2 years after our seniority of IAS officer get the grade, we should also be given. But a different interpretation has been given to it by the government, and it has not waived off the requirement of length of service in a particular rank. So that benefit of NFFU has not actually accrued to us in totality. Officers have gone to court against the government and also in contempt. The court proceedings are pending. Till the time they are finalized, nothing can happen. Only the truncated NFFU will be available till the time court gives its final order. If the classical NFFU and OGAS is applied, it means that 4 years, after 4 years, an assistant commandant gets the scale of deputy commandant, irrespective of promotion. And in 10 years, I think, or 9 years, 9 years add 2 years, because it has to be 2 years after the IES. So 11 years, he will get the pay scale of 2IC and so on and so forth. So an officer with 14 years plus 2 years, 16 years of service will get the scale of DIG. An officer with 18 plus 2, that is 20 years of service, will get the scale of IG. So irrespective whether the promotion comes or not, it is difficult to come by, because we have a very steep pyramidal structure of our rank structure is a very steep pyramid. So not many can perhaps rise beyond the level of DIGs, but this will ensure that at least all officers before retiring, the direct entry officers before retiring, they get the scale of additional DG or additional secretary. Those promotees who are younger, some of them may also get the scales of joint secretary and all, those promotee officers, but most of them at least will get the scale of DIGs and commandants before they retire. So this benefits everyone, at least financially. Financially, insofar as pay and allowances are concerned, and and other benefits that are likely to accrue, say for eligibility for accommodation, eligibility for travel, eligibility for HRA. I mean, अगर आपकी तनख्वाह 20 साल में आप डिप्टी कमांडेंट हैं या 2IC हैं, तो your HRA will be different. But if you are getting the scale of DIG or IG, your HRA will be different. Similarly, transport. So financial benefits बहुत है NFFU अगर हमें classical sense में मिल जाता है, which I think we should get, which is what the spirit of the court judgment which says, but the implementation has not been done in that manner.
Okay, sir. So next question is, sir, is the role of IPS necessary at the top? Can CAPF cadre officers replace IPS at SDG and DG levels? If yes, then sir, what special skills they would need in that case?
See, the officers, cadre officers, coming from ground level, rising up, have the requisite experience, both administrative as well as physical, operational experience to command these organizations. There is no question about that. We have matured to this extent. Ours is a large cadre. BSF is about 4,000. CRPF is larger. ITBP may be a little smaller. And I put in 38 years of service to become additional DG. Had the avenues remained open, I have had command experience at all level. I have commanded unit, I have commanded a frontier, not commanded a sector, but commanded 2 training institutions, which is almost equivalent. So I have the experience of command, training, operation in my career spanning 38 years, and several very well experienced and matured officers in our organizations. So they are ready to take over command. But the rules are such that we cannot become DGs so far. The rules prevent us from rising anywhere above additional DG, and additional DG also is only 25% available to us. Similarly, IG is only 50% available. IG 50% has, so BSF has 23 IGs, BSF cadre, against overall 46. But there are as many officers, if not more, who have completed eligibility for becoming IG, but they cannot become IG because those 23 posts are with IPS officers. So if these officers become IGs, some of them will rise beyond this level. So first thing is required to change the rules so that we are made eligible to become DGs. We are eligible for the position of DG. Then only this thing can happen. IPS now, when these organizations were raised, IPS bhi the. There were many released army officers also. There were many released state police officers, all DSPs वगैरह भी थे. So experience from all over was pooled in to raise these organizations. But over the periods, since the own cadre has grown strong, so logically the command should go to the cadre officers. Fauj mein bhi to hai na. Fauj mein as a second lieutenant joins, he can theoretically become chief. Lot many would retire as majors and not majors, lieutenant colonels and colonels is a different issue. That depends on their career profile. But theoretically, at the point of joining, they can aspire to become the chief. In our case, the rule position is such that even theoretically we cannot aspire to become chief at this particular point of time. So that is the status.
Okay. All right, sir. I'll proceed to the next question. Sir, there's a suggestion that many suggestions that IPS officers have to stay 5 years in CAPFs, including the 3 years in the hard areas. So to become eligible for IG, ADG, and SDG along with DG. So additional training of nearly 2 to 3 months for IPS for induction into the CAPFs. Should that be provisioned? Your comment on this, sir?
Additional training at the level of the entry.
Yes, sir. At the entry or anywhere where they can get accustomed to the hard area postings as well as the real demand of the CAPF cadre.
The provision is that they can come to deputation to the center for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And if they get promoted, they get 2 additional years, 7 years ho jata hai. If they are in some hard areas, then half the time spent in those hard areas is given additional to them for deputation. 3 महीने की basic training देने से क्या हो जाएगा? I don't think there'll be much difference made. A person commanding this organization has to know the ground realities. He has to know the capabilities, limitations, strengths of the basic units of the organization. आप कह दीजिए कि कोई operation कर दीजिए, but you don't have the resources. So that has to be an officer who knows the capabilities and limitations of the organization will only be able to understand the operational ethos and will be able to deploy the forces accordingly, to make plans, operational plans. So adding some amount of training, वो तो आते तो हैं, वो इंदौर में weapons training थोड़ी करते हैं for 10 days or 15 days they come on attachment to various organizations, but that is not adequate. Okay, so they always have a top-down view of the organization. They don't realize, or like when I commanded my unit, it was 6 companies unit. I think I knew the names, if not the names, at least by characteristics, all 1,036 persons of my unit, because I was with them everywhere. 4 साल उनके साथ रहा, went into operations, went and lived with them on the BOPs. I knew everyone. So, but this is not possible with them. They will know Commandant A, Commandant B, Commandant C. उसकी unit में क्या cohesion है, क्या चीज है, वो they will not know. Not only that, they will not know कि weaponry क्या है, how does a unit operate, how does a sub. उनका तो वो है कि पुलिस जैसे अभी 3rd April को हुआ कि 2000 of the soldiers were just inducted into jungle in search of one person, and result is all known to us. So they have to come at the ground level to understand the organization.
All right, sir. So the next is regarding the impeding factors which are preventing the 100 days leave wala provisions for all soldiers. So what changes must be done to ensure 100 days leave for CAPFs?
Presently 60 and 15 days, which is 75 days, is available to everyone. And 15 days casual leave generally turns out to be 20 days. So 80 days hai. And once people are in remote areas, so there's a start point. So for example, I'm at Srinagar. My start point is for leave is Jammu. So 2 days travel period from Srinagar, or 1 day travel period from Srinagar to Jammu, and 1 day back is further. So we have 82 days of leave already being given. I don't know whether 100 days is possible. 1200 के करीब हमारे जवान होते हैं यूनिट में. अगर 100 days जाने लगे तो at any given time there will be more than 200 people on leave. और strength तो पूरी होती नहीं है, तो there will be lot many people on leave, temporary duties, deficiencies, etc. Leaves very other duties will leave very little for them. So alternative could be, अगर आपने 100 day करना ही है तो maybe some monetary compensation. ज़्यादा और बहुत ज़्यादा leave होने से perhaps संभव नहीं है, possible नहीं है, I think. Logistically possible nahi hai that everyone will be able to even now with the present number of days of leave, not everyone is able to go, or not everyone wants to go also, because 13-14% accommodation also is provided at battalion headquarters. So those troops are staying with their families. So I think present number of days of leave is adequate.
So then how to manage the stress which is being seen in amongst the border troops or the soldiers which are there on the ground? The news, a lot of that.
Stress hai, but stress is not only because of leave. Stress ke kai karan hai. Stress is because of working conditions. Stress is because of living conditions. Stress is because perhaps at times officers are not able to, leaders of, I will not say officers, leaders are not able to empathize with them. Stress is perhaps because additional duties are given to them. See, I was talking with people, a frontier with about 800 kilometers of border length, with about 18 units authorized, उनकी 50 कंपनियां इलेक्शन में गई हुई थी. They were away for over 2 months. Election के लिए. So 50 companies is 18 sevens is how much? 126 companies are supposed to be there in 18 units. 50 are out for almost 2.5 months on election duty. 50 meaning almost 40% of the troops are away. So it leaves the border thin. Imposes more hardship on the remaining troops deployed on the borders. उनके duty hours बढ़ जाएंगे. And on top of that, we have Maitri cycle race, we have Maitri volleyball match because of Bangladesh Day of Independence celebrations. So it is these kind of additional duties which are not part of the core competencies or core requirements which add to the stress. So we have to focus on ensuring that adequate troops are available for carrying out core set of duties, not sundry duties. So we also have to ensure that the leaders behave with them in a proper manner, behave with them with empathy, so that their grievances are heard. Leave is not the only cause of stress.
Okay. All right, sir. I'll move to the next question, sir. It is often said that CAPF depends upon state administration for resources, a lack of which leads to poor service conditions for jawans and officers. So what is the reality and what is the way forward?
See, insofar as border guarding forces are concerned, when they are deployed for border guarding, that is not a fact. We have our BOPs. Yes, some BOPs may not be constructed because land is not available. So we are not dependent on state for our resources. हमारे पास अपने resources बहुत है. BOPs पे living lifestyle improve करना हमारा काम है. BOPs के लिए लैंड देना और उसको परसुएट करना वो भी हमारा काम है. सो वो थोड़ी बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. In case of CRPF or other organizations like BSF, ITBP going for internal security duties, this problem arises. And then I think the states also have their constraints. अचानक पुलिस के अलावा अचानक उनके पास, फॉर एग्जांपल बंगाल में पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो, I think more than 30-40 battalions strength was deployed in Bengal for election duties. So from where will they organize accommodation, gadi, petrol, vagera, vagera? So it also depends on the resources available to the two particular state for facilitating the activities by the forces which have come to them for assisting them in maintaining peace in their area. So yes, state के ऊपर पूरा dependent नहीं है. We can carry our own transport, for which petrol perhaps etc., petrol, diesel etc. can be given by them. Accommodation remains a problem. Accommodation तो हर जगह remote areas में हर जगह available नहीं है. Unless India reaches a state of development where everything is available, perhaps it will remain difficult. I mean, I don't see that happening in next 50 years or so with the type of resources that our country has.